180 people and one person gets it, brilliant. Because maybe that one person is better at me than at explaining these things, and will get out there and start spreading it as well. I'd like a little bit more than one person that gets it, because all of this is simple stuff. The only thing that gets in the way is the mind. So that's why I mention these things, so people can join dots. And they'll have their own eureka moments. They'll get something, and it's being revealed within. That's why I'm loath to tell too much. Like in that song by REM, what was the lyric? I've said enough, I've said too much. All the world's famous people, all the big tech giants, all the lunatics from the UN, your governments, they're all talking, Prince Charles of all people, they're all talking about the Great Reset, and they're all doing it from their fucking palaces with their 50 bathrooms. And I would tell you, those people are the ones that are poor in consciousness. If any of them do, in fact, they do know the truth. And they're obscuring it. But it's being revealed. Consciousness is rising. The more people become awake, the more it spreads. The COVID spreads. The divine presence. That's why it's so important to meditate, to go within, because you're connecting. Let me tell you a story. There was these scientists down in Japan, and they were studying these little primates, these little monkeys, and they're all on these different islands, and they're all the same species, and they were observing parental behavior, and that was the research. And they were introducing new diets, new foods into their diet, and they had these sweet potatoes. And these primates, these little monkeys, had never seen these sweet potatoes before, so they didn't really know what to do with them. So the old ones just kind of like shunned it. An old dog doesn't learn new tricks, they say. Oh, I don't know what that is, I don't want it. But the young ones, they were curious, because children are curious. Be like a child. Heaven is full of children. Children don't have an ego. They don't have a mind. Put your mind aside, you're like a child. Fearless. But the baby monkeys were curious about these things. And then the scientists put them on, on the beach, washed them to get the sand off, broke it open, and gave it to the infant monkeys, and the infant monkeys do what infants do. Up the nose, sniffing it, touching it, licking it, eating it. They started to eat it. And then the older monkeys saw the infants eating that, and thought, oh, what are they doing? So they took it off the infant and they started eating it. And the older monkeys would watch the infant monkeys washing it. So they would start to wash it. So the children taught the elders. So the experiment was quite successful. So the troop of monkeys is able to learn from its, and then he said Nachwuchs, that's German, from its successors, or eventual successors. So anyway, the scientists packed up and he went to another island, and this other island was something like 60 odd miles away. And they went there about a couple of weeks later, and they got the potatoes out and they gave it to the monkeys, and the monkeys went to the water, washed it in the water, and started eating it. They knew what to do. The information had gone from one group of monkeys to the other group of monkeys. They weren't phoning each other up on smartphones. These are natural creatures. They live in a natural state. And the information went via the unified field, the Akashic record, the father, call it whatever you want. And they knew what to do. They didn't need to be taught. And this spread through all the islands, and all the monkeys got it. The same thing applies in humanity. Now, the ego's a funny thing. It doesn't let go. It's terrified of letting go. It thinks that when it lets go, it's going to fall. It's going to die. And it doesn't. It coexists with higher. The lamb and the wolf, they live together. They lie together. Because the ego then recognizes higher and understands its place. Like a child. But because the ego is so afraid, it will fight to keep what it has, to maintain the illusion, to keep up the brick walls that it's built for itself. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Tear down the wall. That's what that song's about. Because nobody wants to be just another brick in the wall. But that's what people are. So it's one mind at a time. Now, as people are going through this, it's dark. They call it the dark night of the soul. It's not a pretty place. It's fucking miserable. And there's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of frustration. You know, all the the traditions, culture, all the things you used to do, garbage. You don't want any of it. And it's those people that it's those people that are going to wake up. But there's going to be a lot of devastation. Now, as the masses start to wake up, and that energy's there, and they're handling it all wrong, what are the so-called, the self-proclaiming, self-aggrandizing wankers, what are they going to do with that power? How are they going to misdirect a misinformed population, millions, billions of people? War, fear. They're going to ramp it up just to maintain control. It doesn't matter what it is, so long as there is a semblance of control, the appearance of control, because that's what the ego likes to do. It likes to be in control when it fucking isn't, and it never was. And it doesn't take a particularly vivid imagination to envisage what that's going to look like. And that's why meditation is imperative. When you meditate, for those of you that are still eating meat and things, meditate first. Because that's seeking the kingdom. And the kingdom, the higher. And when you're in that place with no mind, when your cup is empty, it will get filled. And brace yourself, because you're going to go through a difficult time. You're going to get buffeted. You're going to get knocked backwards and forwards. But it's okay. It has to be that way. But you have to be mindful and control yourself. There is going to be collateral damage. If you're married, you might not be at the end of it. Marriage is a religious social construct. Yeah. Did that shit for 25 years. Get less for murder. Right, it's hard, it's difficult. And I say that with all seriousness. And the people that are going through it, they might be listening to this now. I'm sure there are a few. In fact, I know there are a few. It's tough. But it's a warrior's journey. Okay? It's time, you know, the time for sitting on the fence. Oh, I don't know. No, those days are gone. You're either in or you're out. Like the character said, I wish you was hot, passionate, or cold, dispassionate, but not lukewarm, because I will spew you out. When it passes, there is a peace, an inner peace that is unshakable. And you don't care for, you know, this might sound odd. You don't fear for your life anymore. You're bigger than that. Much bigger than that. Because you've transcended the box. You're not in the box anymore. You're outside of it. And people will try and put you back in the box. You don't fit anymore. The box is too small. You can't go back in it. The genie is out the bottle, or the box, or whatever you want to call it. And that's what they're trying to do. Keep people in the box by using fear. And it's very subtle. Wearing masks, restricting your breathing, your body will produce a stress hormone, cortisol, and you will go into the limbic system. You start having anxiety, and it will be so subtle you might not even realize it. That's what they're doing. Because when you're in that state, that psychological state, you can't reason. Your neocortex is being disabled. They are fucking with your consciousness. They did it with religion. They've done it with politics. Now they're doing it openly with psychology. It is psychological warfare. Silent war. That was a document by the CIA. Silent weapons for silent wars. Look it up. Psychological warfare. The promotion of fear. That's what Al-Qaeda was all about. Load of shit. Anyway, it's quite a long one, that. There is a shift in power. And it's not about material. It's about consciousness. Make sure you're on the right side of the fence. Meditate. Your cup will be filled. And then you'll naturally clean your house. Because that information will come inside you. You will be informed from inside by something higher. And it's good. But as I've alluded to, you let God in your house, He likes to move the furniture around. He likes to clear stuff out. And it can be uncomfortable. But it's very necessary. Peace is not free. There has to be a war before there's peace. But I'm talking about inside, so you're going to have a war in here. And when you've got no energy anymore to fight that war because it's all gone, That's your reset. Then you'll have equity. Then the energy will start to work for you. Nothing that I've said should be shouldn't have surprised you. It should all make sense. It should all sound quite reasonable. Alright, the Saturn about being Saturn being our sun. That might... Thunderbolts Project. Look it up. Educate yourselves. Wallace Thornhill and a couple of other scientists. They're out there. They're attacking the settled science paradigm, and they're trying to change everything. So, because science is wrong, it is barking up the wrong tree massively, to the point where if they admit it, they're all going to look like fucking morons, because they are. They've bought into a pack of lies. If it's not the truth, it's a lie. Anyway, that was a long one. Long 2 videos, actually. So there you go. And look after yourselves and go within.